Alright, let's get started talking about object-oriented programming. So this first video is just some high-level ideas. We could spend a lot of time talking about it, but let's just get started with some basic ideas. So I have some slides about how Java got started. I'm not really going to talk about that. You can go through some of this on your own time. The different versions of Java, it started in 95. The latest one that we're using is Java 8. By the time this video comes out and you're doing this, we'll probably be doing Java 1.9. Object-oriented programming, or programming in general, is split into two categories, right? There's structural, or what's called procedural programming, and these are based on functions. And so functions were introduced to help with the reusability of code, right? If you ran the same line of code over and over again, you could write a function that could call that same code, and then you just call it one function. So that was a enhancement. That was progress in the programming world. Things progress even further when we talk about object-oriented programming, and these are more heavier concepts. So Java, C# is more object-oriented programming. What do we mean by object-oriented programming? So the basic concept is you write classes from which objects can be created. Those objects have properties, state, and behavior. And with this idea, we have four core principles, or people call these the four pillars of object-oriented programming. So this is a very typical interview question, so you should be able to talk about what are the principles of object-oriented programming. The four are abstraction. Abstraction is the ability for the client to access only the specific desired properties. So if you have a computer, for example, a computer is an object. Think of it in this way. And as a user, all you want to do is turn the power on or off. So there's a way you can do that. The engineers created this object in such a way that you don't need everything exposed to you. You don't need to see everything. All you need to do is see the on-off button. That's the only action you want to do on that computer. So that idea is called abstraction. There are things we can do, ways we can interact with the object, and the developer has developed the object in such a way that the user can interact with that object very simply, with however they would want to interact with that object. Encapsulation is the idea of binding methods and properties together while hiding complex inner workings. So this is where we get data hiding. So objects are going to contain properties, and we're going, as developers, we hide those properties from the client, but we make them available through properties or through methods and functions. And so again, some of this is kind of abstract, but we'll see this implemented as we go on. But I'm going to talk about the high level view so that when we get into it, you have a context or a framework for some of these ideas. So encapsulation is where we get data hiding, where methods and properties are bound together, again through methods. We also have inheritance. So in some ways, inheritance, all these kind of play a role in how they are core. So inheritance are, you have classes, you have child classes and parent classes. So the most parent class in Java would be the object class, and all objects are from the object class, and so we can create objects that would inherit properties from the parent class. And so those properties are passed down to child classes and child objects. And then lastly, we have polymorphism. Polymorphism is poly meaning many, morph meaning shape or form, is the ability for methods and objects to take on various forms for the sake of reusability and convenience. So that one might be the most kind of abstract for you. Oftentimes polymorphism takes some time for people to kind of get their hands on. The other three are pretty simple to see and to implement. But anyway, these are the four core principles of object-oriented programming. You should definitely be familiar with what the terms are, a brief definition, and of course our course is going to go through each of these examples or each of these topics and examples and explain it further.